I'm not sure how much time we've got left, but let's talk, because I don't think we have time to do a track by track, but we will have time to talk about the singles, all these tracks we're putting out. So let's talk about King. I know we've spoken about King a little bit already, but I'm no mother, I'm no bride, I am King. Tell us where this comes from and tell us a little about the backstory of the song.
This song was written, it's one of those songs that kind of like fall from the sky when you think you can't write. I was like, I'm never going to write another song. I can't write. I've got no inspiration. I think it was written around 2019, and it was that thing again. I was, after High as Hope, I had decided that I would stop, and like maybe I would then. It's like time is ticking, especially in your 30s. If you're like when you're a woman, everyone just like hammers into you, like 35 to 40, like you have this window, don't lose the window. But it's really hard to imagine like how little you think about it until it actually happens. It's like no, that's fine. But I'd come off High as Hope, and there was this window to have a family, and I was off starting another record and thinking about booking another tour, and I was just like, why am I doing this? Like, when is it gonna kick in that I'm gonna really know that I'm ready for a family and I'm ready to settle down? And like, what is it in me that the performer just takes over? And again, like we're talking about the brutality of songwriting. It's just like, nope, off you go again. So I think it would be a simplification of that song to think it's this rejection of these archetypes and that I don't want those things. But actually the core of the song is the confusion of like, I do want those things. I want to have a family, and I also want to be the best performer that I can be. And just for me, those feel really at odds with each other, especially how bodily my performances are. And if I was going to carry a child, that's a huge bodily commitment. And yet my tours, for me, are an enormous bodily commitment. So I did just feel the splitting of two really powerful desires. And again, it feels like the song just comes in with its sword and cuts everything else down. And it's just like, nope, you're going. And I was wondering as well if that was just a commitment that I have to my own unhappiness and to my own loneliness. Because it's like the stage is the salvation, but it's also the place that takes you away from family and takes you away from friends, and in some senses keeps you really isolated. So a lot of this record is like analysing how committed I am to my own sense of being a tragic figure. I mean, like, are you choosing this to perpetuate the tragedy? But we'll see.
So there's no you haven't found resolution through it? Or?
It feels like you should have a kid just to get it out of the way, but it feels like a really wrong reason to do it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but it's also just like so that you don't have to, it feels like do it so that you don't have to talk about it anymore, which feels like, but that feels like a really wrong reason to do it. I haven't come to a resolution with it, I think the question is still, but now it feels more like a kind of, sort of does feel like you're haunted by something, I think, especially at this age. You're like, which is really frustrating because it's like, I think the scream at the end is, I'm really good at feeling like I'm failing at something, and even when I'm doing I feel like I have made some of the best music at my career, suddenly when I hit 35 I was like, oh, but I'm failing at this. And it was a real fight for me to be like, no, don't buy into that, like please don't buy into that narrative of like choosing another thing that you can feel like you're not getting right. So I think that's the fight there, and that's this kind of scream at the end of King, because it just suddenly creeps up on you like that. I didn't even really think about it until I hit 35. And I was like, oh fuck, I turned 35. I'm supposed to do something. Like,
yeah. I can't offer you any advice.
No one can. No one can offer it, apart from the people with kids who are like, I've never been so tired, you should do it. It's hell, you should do it. Like, everyone with kids is like, it's a nightmare. Have one.
Sweet, fair summary. Yeah.